Hello and welcome back to the Kanc Connection, the Halloween edition. My name is Jillian Clark and today we have a great lineup for our spooky segment. Our first story today is Yay Sports. It was an exciting week of sports. Last Friday, the middle school boys hosted Lisbon and won 6-0. Although the middle school soccer and cross-country seasons are now over, we have still had a very exciting week of sports with our varsity teams. On Tuesday, the girls' varsity team hosted Lisbon for their first playoff game and won 1-0 in the first overtime with a goal from Abhishek Corey. On Thursday, we traveled to Moultonborough, where we lost 3-1 with a goal from Ivy Bailey. Our season has now come to an end. On Wednesday, the boys hosted Woodsville for their first playoff game and won 1-0 with a goal from Jake Avery. The boys will be traveling to Profile for their second playoff game tomorrow at noon. Be there to support them if you can. Our fall sports are definitely wrapping up, but winter sports will be beginning in a few weeks. Thank you for all of the support for our fall sports teams. And great job to all of our student athletes this week. We will now have a Halloween-themed wacky word coming right up. Welcome back, everyone, to the Halloween episode of Wacky Words. My name is Jillian, and today's word is cobalt. Today's word is cobalt. Cobalt is a chemical element found on the periodic table. Its symbol is Co, and its atomic number is 27. Cobalt takes its name from the word kobold, meaning devil creature in German folklore. Kobolds were first described as a kind of gnome who haunted mine shafts in literature. It was said that these creatures could either bless miners with riches or punish them with rock slides and poisonous fumes. Since cobalt's ores contain arsenic, it is extremely hazardous. Before the dangers of arsenic was known, miners would often blame the kobolds for their ailments. This is how the connection between mining cobalt and the kobolds came to be. That's all the time we have this week. Have a haunting weekend and see you again next week. Knew that word had such a creepy history. Now on to the latest news with Shanna.
Happy Halloween and welcome back to What Went Down in the World This Week with me, Shanna Drapo. Last Friday, October 23rd, an Asian giant hornet nest, the species more commonly known as murder hornets, was discovered on private property in Washington state. This was the first nest of murder hornets found in the United States. This invasive species is known to be deadly to humans, but the hornets are even more dangerous to the honeybee population. Luckily, the nest was eradicated on Saturday. Yesterday, the United States reported a record high of daily new coronavirus cases since the pandemic began. As the deaths and cases continue to spike, it is uncertain what new protocols could be put into place. These spikes in cases means we should all be working hard to be even more safe than we have been. And now for our good news. A group of marine scientists, led by the Virginia Institute of Marine Science, has restored over 8,000 acres of seagrass off the southern coast of Virginia. This restoration started as a simple experiment and has grown into an incredibly successful project. Seagrass is a very important element for our planet, and this restoration is very important. And that's what went down in the world this week. Have a great weekend and enjoy your Halloween safely.
Thank you, Shanna. We will now have a short break, but stay tuned to watch a never-before-seen exclusive interview with Mrs. Parent. All that and more on the Kanc Connection.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back. Now please enjoy a spooky myth with Emma.
Welcome back to It's All Greek to Me. I'm Emma, and today we're taking a detour from ancient Greece to check out some other historical folklore. With Halloween drawing ever closer, now seems like the perfect time to talk about a holiday staple: vampires. As these fanged creatures have been a present threat for longer than any of us can even begin to fathom, even if they are more fictitious than fact. Due to the huge variation of vampire-like creatures over time, it seems vital to figure out what traits make a vampire a vampire. The most central thing to figure out is that all vampires consume human blood. And in the same vein, sharp teeth are also very important. Other common traits for vampires would be being undead, supernaturally pretty, or on the other end of that, supernaturally hideous, the inability to cast a shadow, and an aversion to garlic flowers. Now we should look at regional variants of vampires. We can trace the concept of vampires all the way back to ancient Greece, with tales of a creature that would come in the night and drain all of the blood out of its unsuspecting victims. Or over in medieval Europe, where vampires were assumed to be the cause of many diseases, such as the bubonic plague, tuberculosis, or rabies. A common habit in places that believed vampires are real is to dig up the bodies of suspected vampires and plunge a stake through their chest. Similarly, they just started burying vampires with a stake through their chest or burying them face down so they couldn't find a way out of their graves. The more modern interpretation of vampires comes from Bram Stoker's book, Dracula, and other European literature. At this point, vampires were more dramatic than attractive, though, doing things like using their powers of dramatic timing to drain the blood of children just as the protagonist was arriving. But as time passed, there were wider interpretations, making them everything from diabolical evil masterminds to sympathetic villains. And by giving these creatures human characteristics, people interpreted them in an even wider variety, making whiny emo kids mysterious strangers and the hot guy covered in glitter expected character tropes for vampires.
I just love Emma's myths. Next up, we have a segment on the National Honor Society. Here is an interview with Mrs. Parent all about the National Honor Society and last week's induction ceremony.
The National Honor Society is a national recognition of student achievement. Students that are outstanding in the pillars of National Honor Society are recognized for their achievements. They get to be part of a group of individuals. Colleges look at that as a high achievement for high school students. The GPA requirement for National Honor Society is a 3.5 or higher on a 4.0 scale. And the first step is that, and we call it scholarship. Scholarship then gives them a letter for the ability to apply to National Honor Society. Once they have applied, there is a rigorous evaluation where teachers evaluate each of the students. Then a faculty council meets and discuss each of the pillars of National Honor Society in relationship to each child. The pillars are service, so community service, leadership, both in and outside of school, and character, their ability and willingness to do the right thing in all situations. Upon the decision of their being outstanding in those fields, they then receive a letter of being able to be inducted into the National Honor Society, and then follows the induction ceremony. In past years, our ceremonies have been a gathering for anyone and everyone that has wanted to be there and is able to support the students. This year, we are limiting that to the student and 3 guests. National Honor Society encourages students to work hard, both at school and then their community. It's a national recognition they can take onto college with them, and it helps them become eligible for scholarships and college and career ready work as well.
Thank you to Mrs. Parent, and we want to congratulate all of the new inductees. Now, we are pleased to present, for the third season, the famous Madov's Movie Minute. I just hope he's not going to wreck the show. Roll the video.
I'm gonna wreck it! I'm Ralph, and I'm gonna wreck it! Alright. Welcome back to another episode of Madov's Movie Minute Season 3. Today's episode, we're reviewing Wreck-It Ralph. The beginning of the movie starts out with introducing basically the story, like the movie. He's in an arcade. Stop. Can I do my segment? The movie starts out basically with, Ralph living in his world. He lives in an arcade. He has an arcade game called Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph. It's called Fix It Felix because he basically has to wreck the house and Felix fixes it. So you play as Felix fixing the windows, and try to get him out of there. And he has to do that every time someone plays him. Can you imagine how tiring he would be? He sleeps on bricks and everybody else sleeps in their magical little epic insert graphic here. They have a bad guy convention every month or so, and he tells everybody, guys, bad guys aren't bad, and that's good, but I don't want to be the bad guy no more. And then everybody's like anyways, they have a house party because they're like, oh yes, anniversary day. And Ralph's like, I want to be in the party because I'm part of it too. And they're like, yeah, sure. And then they kick him out because he wrecked everything because he's Wreck-It Ralph. And they're like, oh, you can come back here when you have a medal. You can have the penthouse, everything. They kick him out. And he's like, a medal, you say? And then he's, because there's a little the plugs are subway stations for them, so he's like, yeah, and he's like, all right, I'll just go to that game what is it, Hero's Duty, and I'll just get that, I'll get a medal there. I just gotta defeat the alien guy. But the bug, the bad alien thing, got it, and they went into a sugar candy land. And he's like, no, my medal.
And then he's like, in this exact motion.
Girl, that's ooh, a little brat that's like,
you want your medal? I want to get it first.
Eventually she gets it, and she enters it as a token into the race, and the only way she can get it back is to finish that race. And then we're like, okay, racing time. And then they build a car, and then they're like, oh man, this is cool. And then they're like, skirt everywhere, skirt. If she won the race or not, to see who Vanellope really is, to see who the king is, and how big of a forehead that he has. And if you want to see the rest, watch the movie to find out.
Oh, Madov. As we close this week's show, here at the Kanc Connection, we want to remind everyone to stay safe this Halloween. If you or your family are trick-or-treating tomorrow night, please remember to wear a mask and be mindful of social distancing. Trick-or-treating in town this year is locals only, and roads will not be closed. So put on your reflective costume and only visit houses that have their lights on. We hope to see you have a fun and safe Halloween. That's all for our show this week. As always, if you have any feedback about our show or have ideas about a new segment, please email us at tv@lin-wood.org. We will be taking a break next week to work on the upcoming Veterans Day video. Thank you for joining us and have a spooky weekend.